Hey, everybody. Today is a special day, not only because it's Valentine's Day, and I hope everybody has somebody that they can send a Valentine to. I, for one, never got a Valentine, Jimmy, in grade school. Can you believe that?
Well, obviously, I think it was said that. I don't want to go where no man has ever gone
I
before.
bet Jimmy got like loads of Valentines.
Yeah, I wrote them out that morning for myself.
Nobody was suspicious that it was the same handwriting, Jimmy, on all of them?
No. Look,
Listen,
yeah.
whatever makes you feel good, my friend, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what they tell me.
I guess that's better than wallowing in the fact that you didn't get one, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm in a super good mood today because I'm featuring, right before we get to anything, we're going to feature a young man named Blair Gilly, and he's from Enterprise, Alabama, and he had some exciting news about opening up a shop. I think we're going to be asking him all kinds of questions about what motivated him, how he gets started, and all that good stuff. And I think we're going to call him right away and get going on it. And I think you guys are going to enjoy this because if I'm not mistaken, to all the years that we've been doing this, I think he's the first one of my students to open up a shop. And I'm really, really happy for him. But let's give him a call. Let's see how he's doing. And again, his name is Blair. And you guys might know him on Facebook, although he's been very busy lately, Jimmy. So I'm not sure if he's posted a lot. Let's give him a call. We'll put him on speakerphone. Hey, Blair, we're live on the question and answer at the Broadway Upholstery School. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
And I'm probably more excited than you are about your new venture.
Man, I don't know. It's been a long time coming. I remember staying up till 1, 2 o'clock at night watching all your videos, trying to figure out how to do upholstery.
Well, this is interesting. So we want to ask you, is that what inspired you for your business, the YouTube videos?
Yeah, so I pretty much, I was watching you online because I had some furniture come to my house, and I was living in like a 900 or 1,000 square foot house, something like that. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out how to start, where to start. But I was super enthusiastic about getting it done. And sometimes I'm a little overconfident about things, and then I get there and I'm stuck. So I was watching your YouTube videos, and I didn't really know anything about upholstery. I was just doing it for a family member. And I started watching your videos, and then over time, as projects came in, I saw that you had videos for everything, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then it started becoming a business, and I was like, this is starting to turn into something big. And
wow.
So I was just kind of stuck on your channel for a while.
So when did it, like, how long were you watching the videos before you learned enough that you had confidence to maybe get your first, paid job?
Honestly, man, I'm still not very confident. I still watch your videos, and we're 3 years in. I still go to your videos. I've watched some of your videos 10, 15, 20 times. So it's just an experience, because pieces of furniture are all very different. They all throw you a curveball. So I'm still building up the confidence, but I know that whenever I get stuck, you and some other channels I watch typically have the answers, and then I get my confidence whenever I give it to the customer and they're ecstatic about it, and they're like, "Man, no one does this anymore." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, well, I'm glad you love it, because I was worried."
I love it. So for 3 years, you've been watching mine and others, which is fine, because I think that you expand yourself like that is fine. But I think one of the things that's interesting to me is when you said you keep watching them. I don't know if you're watching me now, but I wrote down when you said, are you watching too as well, Blair?
Yes, sir.
So repeat, repeat, repeat. So you watch them over and over again. And repetition is what's, as you know, that's what makes you really good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I really like the Q&A that you have,
Okay.
Because, typically it's some of those very small questions that, you wouldn't necessarily think about teaching a class on, but it's some of those very small questions that help you get around a corner that you're stuck on. And that for me it's just been one step after another each and every time that I get stuck, and we watch your videos, and I still have all my logins for the first class I took with you.
So what was the
constant reviewing?
What was the first class? So you took an online class too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I took it was a chair that you guys were doing.
That was Jimmy, right? Jimmy and
yes.
I. Do you remember?
It was, and so that, and I believe in that video, you were doing, you may have been going over like stripping things down, using your hammer, using your staple remover. And that was, for me, that was the first time I ever got to see like the real fundamentals of upholstery and what's needed and how to use it. And that for me in the long run, I mean, I've found techniques that were faster, but what I learned from you, and even though what I found was faster, your techniques over time are going to save my hands. They're going to save my wrists, my back. And so I still use your technique.
Well, that's good to know that, because that's what's kept me in the game. I know people who really spent out. Their bodies give way, either their backs or their wrists, their hands. So knowing repeat is good for watching videos, but maybe not necessarily good when you're doing any type of hand work. So what you do is, I think I stress having multiple jobs going, and that you don't have to do one exercise over and over again. So this is where commercial upholsterers sometimes might not have the longevity as custom upholsterers, because we can pick and choose if we're not feeling well.
Yes,
Things like that. Do you find, is that what you've taken up, and you've taken that, as a rule in your shop?
Yeah, I really just pretty much try to pace myself and do everything fundamentally the right way. Just because I've seen over all of the traveling that I've done, that doing things the right way, even if it's slow and tedious, overall it'll save your hands, your back. So I really just try to follow the protocol that you set in place.
So now we have a kit. What's interesting is you didn't feel like you needed the kit that we have, which is fine. But some people might like the kit, which has all the basics and also the digital instructional booklet with that. So, but you've taken the free YouTube classes.
Yes, sir. Well, I took the free YouTube class, but I also paid for one of your classes.
Yeah, that's right. So you had the online class with Jimmy. So you're kind of following. What we're trying to do is for other people like you, young people especially, trying to give them an interest in this business. You're the perfect model, because you followed this exactly the way I would have wanted you to. If you had called me 3 years ago, I would have told you to start to see if you like it with the YouTube classes, and I got a big free up here. They're free, right?
Yes, sir.
And then go to an online class just to get a little bit more in depth. And you're already given me some inspiration and some insight, which is, sometimes I forget. We did spend a lot of time, Jimmy, if you remember, on your first classes, even though you had been with me for a while as a student.
Okay.
We pretended in the first classes like this was your first time.
Well, I mean, it's presentation, I believe, is everything.
Right.
No matter what.
Right.
And if you go too fast, everybody's on a different learning curve, but I believe if you start from the beginning with, again, the tools and how to take it, certain different shears apart, everybody has a little own technique of things, but I think it really helps that you get the beginning and the ground level work started, so everybody knows that we're on the same level here.
Blair said something really interesting about it. I'm really happy that we were showing those. We took the time to do that basic tool use and the different tools. And I think I mentioned too, is you get tired, go to something else. Don't hurt yourself. Right, Blair?
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've kind of done. and learning about, you know, getting tired, because because I am young, I'm also very hard headed. And so, you know, I would get on one task and I would sit there. You know, if a chair is supposed to take 4 to 5 hours, and I don't know who comes up with the time, but you know, I'd sit there for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours on one chair until I figured it out. And then that's where I honestly, you know, at times I did contemplate shutting my business down, because I was so tired of how slow everything was going, how slow, you know, it was for me to learn, because I couldn't just walk in your shop and be like, hey, help me, you know, because I'm like 15 or so hours away from you. So that's kind of whenever, you know, I took on learning to do woodworking and refinishing furniture, because that would kind of give me the break that I needed to not burn out.
So you have
ultimately, like, for the long haul, I think it's good if you need to walk away for even a day or so. I definitely would recommend walking away to get your mindset back.
I'm writing down as you talk. Blair does, I was going to ask you about the different services that you have. Blair does woodwork, and I'm going to
Yes, sir.
highlight that. If I can spell. It's not a good spelling day for me today. Woodwork. And what other services do you provide?
In addition to upholstery, which I started out learning from you, and woodworking and refinishing, which I learned from Richardson's Refinishing in Panama City, Florida. We also have big contracts with Ashley Furniture, Farmers Furniture, Lazy Boy.
Repair work.
Yeah, repair work. And so pretty much these companies, and that's another avenue that, you know, if people are getting stuck in upholstery and they need a break. If you have some sort of experience with upholstery, or even doing minor wood repairs, you can go to these stores and they are dying to get people in.
Oh,
because you can't find anyone that repairs furniture or even does upholstery anymore.
So you are doing exactly what I would have done in your position when I was that young. And Randy just asked a question. He's an upholsterer out in Wisconsin. So the segue is perfect. He says, "Do you have some guidelines for jobs you won't take?" But now, do you have any guidelines for jobs? You're doing everything, man. You're doing the upholstery, woodworking, and repairs. Do you ever come to a point where you don't take a job? Do you have?
Now, so this is what I would say. I'm a good person to learn from things not to do. Okay, so I'm 25 years old. I'm very ambitious, and I was pretty much raised to, you know, eventually start a business of my own. That was how my dad raised me, because he said that's like the American dream.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's really bit me in the butt is not knowing when to say no. And so through the experience of not knowing when to say no, I wouldn't say that there are jobs that I'll turn down, but there are jobs where, you know, because I know it's going to be difficult, because I know it's going to be time consuming, and because I know the customer is not going to want to pay what I charge per hour, at that point, I'll tell them no. Because there are some times where you go to reupholster a sofa or a recliner, and you get it, and from these manufacturers, they have all these different panels, and everything has a top seam or a French seam on top. And, you know, you give them a quote, and, you know, they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, I can't compete with the market that Ashley Furniture has. You know, they can sell you a chair for $500-$600, and I may have that same labor in it plus fabric. Yeah,
you are off to a really good understanding and from a business standpoint too. And you've got the work ethic. I saw that right from the beginning with your postings. But knowing the jobs like Randy knows what I think is asking that question, and I think it's a good question. So because there are people, you know, they don't mean to be doing it on purpose perhaps, but they will waste a lot of your time, and you know, your time is where you is very valuable, so you have to watch that. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, so Blair does woodworking and upholstery repairs. Before I forget, I wanted to mention that Blair is in Enterprise, Alabama, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's north of the Gulf of Mexico, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours from Panama City Beach.
Okay.
So we're almost directly above it, maybe a few clicks northeast of Panama City.
So, do you have any competition in your area? Now, what's the closest upholsterer woodworker to you?
Yeah, so, and that's one of the really, really cool things. I really feel like God kind of opened up a door for us here is, as far as upholstery, I have a friend in Dothan, Alabama. His name is Larry Pettis. He has Pettis Upholstery in Dothan, and I learned from him. And then I think there may be one other shop here in Enterprise, but the big thing that I really have going is that these friends and my mentors are, they're at an age to retire, and they've been talking about retiring here soon. Now, as far as refinishing, I'm the only one that I know of within like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive, and then once you go to Panama City, that's where one of my other mentors lives. His name's Steve Richardson. He owns a real big refinishing company there. But as far as I know, I'm either the only one or I'm one of two for about a 2 hour drive.
Well, that's fantastic. And even if you do, sometimes competition is good. In my area, in the metropolitan Boston area, I have over 220 upholsterers in the metropolitan area. Can you believe that?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we won Best of Boston here in 2018. People sometimes can be cynical. They'll say, "Well, how much did you pay for that?" No, we didn't pay anything for that. And then they say, "How many upholsterers could there be?" And I say, "Well, there's 222."
Yeah, that's a big list to be at the top of it. But I mean, I've seen y'all's work. I mean, I've even sort of scouted your online store to see what you guys have for sale. And
Sure.
I mean, the work y'all do is incredible.
So moving forward, what I would if I can give you a little advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at about your age, I had a mentor who asked me one evening to come with him to a class that he was teaching in a local, and you've heard me talk about these classes that I've taught, right?
Yes, sir.
So about your age, maybe a little older, 26, 27, he invited me along, and I was his assistant. And
Yes, sir.
if you could believe it, they were paying me $20 an hour back this was like in the late 80s.
Oh my God.
I know. And so I know. I was so happy and I was just assisting him, I didn't really know a lot. And then as I progressed, they asked me to be, he retired, and then I became a teacher, and I taught there I taught 3 nights a week. And then I incorporated it into my upholstery shop. Now I'm going to ask you, how many square feet do you have in your upholstery shop?
Well, here recently, actually this week, we just got a contract for a storefront. So I started out on a 4x6 back porch. And then I was in a 10x15 garage, and now we're in 1,000 square foot building.
Wow. Are you guys listening to this? Isn't this exciting? I'm really excited. So he's in 1,000 square feet. You have more square feet than I do. 1,000. So,
yes, so I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I got my sewing machine and all my tools set up, and we still got room for customers to hang out. And that's another thing that I've really learned from watching you. Whenever I first got started, is I could really see, you like with you. I'm not saying you work slow, but I would say you work with passion. You know what I mean? You're making sure every contour is exactly where it needs to be. The gimp is glued right where it needs to be. And that for me, and that's how I really try to work. And I've noticed that in mimicking the way that you work, other people have said the same thing to me, that they can really tell I have a passion for it.
Good. That's
something that I really want to offer, like with our storefront, is the same passion that you guys offer. I don't want it to be some rundown shop, where they're like, man, what is that? Why is that there? I want people to be excited to come in here and know that upholstery is still around and it's still thriving. we're going to be here for a long time.
That's fantastic. One of the biggest things is keeping it clean. It is, believe it or not, it's really hard to keep an upholstery shop clean.
I know. I'm struggling with it now.
I've had people come into my shop and say, "This is the cleanest upholstery shop I've ever seen," and I love to hear that. And
Yes, sir.
you know, it is hard, but it's worth it. Now, how do you reckon doing the staining and the wood cutting with the upholstery? I mean, do you do it on the same location, or do you have a separate location for that?
Yeah, for the last 2.5 years, I've done it all in the same location, and that's where I'd say my relationship with upholstery and refinishing is love and hate at this point, because
Right.
I have to clean my whole shop to do upholstery.
Yeah.
And then, at that point it's clean. So then I get to refinish. And after I refinish, I got to do the whole thing again.
Yeah, yeah. And you're constantly changing your shop out, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And, but I put everything, all of my machines, all of my tables, even my walls that have all my tools on it, everything is on wheels. And so I've really made it to where I can slide everything around and move it as I need it. So
Now Randy's asking if you own your space or did you lease it?
No, so at this point in time, like I said, this is our 3rd year. I'm renting right now, and and I got a really, really good deal. It's $600 a month for a storefront.
Oh, beautiful!
Wow.
Wow. I mean, I got a steal.
Jimmy said, Jimmy, did you hear Jimmy? He says beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, yeah, I mean, it was less than half of what everywhere else was. And it's a new facility that was redone. But what I would say, I contemplated, on buying and renting, and then I've heard all kinds of different things. But for now, because of how young I am, renting for me is the best option because I'm new to it.
Mm-hmm.
And because, if our business gets bigger, we've got contractors that we sub out in Florida now that I've trained, and we may outgrow this place. I don't know. So
well, you went from 5 by 4 to 10 by 15 to 1,000 square feet in 3 years. So
yes,
if you run the numbers, by the time you're 10 years out, you'll have a 10,000 square foot or more. That's
franchise.
Now, Daphne, who's one of our great Facebook people and who's just starting in the business, she says, "Wow, what a great deal." I'm looking at some of the comments that we have up here, and people are really excited as I am for you.
I mean, and that's one thing I'd like to extend out to any and everyone that is listening. I know our community of upholsterers across the U.S. It's not a very large field, but it is definitely a good field to get into. And even if you are in your back porch or if you're in a small office, don't give up. Definitely keep pressing and pay attention to all of the details, because even the small details, you're going to have that one customer that's going to find it. And then word of mouth has been the biggest thing for us. So don't give up on your dream. This was a dream of mine, and we're still growing.
So I was going to go down that path of the adult ed classes, and I think you would be a perfect teacher. I think that if I can give you the confidence to do what you've done to this point, I think that you could probably break yourself into it. It's just an idea, right?
Yes, sir.
The way what's that?
I've honestly now, and here's another thing, some people may not take this too serious. I just think it'd be a really good time because where I live, it's next to a military base, and that's another big thing.
Absolutely.
Jimmy just said,
people are coming from all over the world with antiques.
Oh, wow.
China and Spain and Cuba.
Didn't know that.
And so I get to see all these really cool pieces. And in addition to that, we have a lot of military spouses, that tag along with their partner.
You will have classes night and day.
Jimmy said you'll have classes night and day, and I'm really excited for that part of your business because I can tell you from experience.
Definite income.
Jimmy, tell Blair about the class that we ran. Come on over here. Why don't you sit down and tell Blair, or you just sit next to me. Tell Blair about the class that you took and the first time you came. And
I'll tell you, it was I had no idea what it was. I wanted to do this, but I had no idea how much time it was going to take. And I am a arts and crafts guy. I do refinishing as well, Blair. So it's a great thing. I mean, I loved it. I saw my father do a dining room set when I was 9 years old, and I've done projects since. So I mean, I love it. But with regard to the classes that Kevin taught, I have taken probably at least 15, maybe 20 classes with him over the years when he was doing it. And it was at different times. So he would, Saturday mornings, for example, it would be a 9 to 12 class. And then probably you have a break in between. And then say from, let's say 2 o'clock till 5, he'd have something going on a Wednesday night, maybe a Tuesday night. It was, I mean, and these classes literally, they would be, if you announce, okay, registration is going to begin on April 1st, people literally, I swear, on April 1st, boom. It was like if you waited another 48 to 72 hours afterwards, the class is full.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that, I mean, it's a great thing that Kevin, I think Kevin's I mean, there were a lot of women that got into the upholstery classes. There was a small group of guys as well. They were all mixed in. But I'll tell you, the women were like grabbing ottomans and dining room chairs. I mean, the variety that they came through the door with was unbelievable.
So I do have a question in regards to the classes.
Sure.
And so that's this. So in teaching the classes, because like I would say this area, because of how few there are, right?
Mm-hmm.
We pretty much have a lock on the area. The only thing I've thought about, and I don't want to be greedy with this career field, because I honestly do. I want to be selfless with it, and I do want upholstery to continue growing, and I want it to be a field that's known, because trades are dying, and I don't care if any of the other trades die, as long as upholstery and refinishing doesn't die, I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, do you ever find that the people you are teaching become your competition?
Well, that's a great question. I have to be completely honest. That's why I was so excited. One of the reasons I was excited about what you did, and you did it without even really personally one-on-one with me, that you actually were gung-ho enough and serious enough, and the repetitiveness. And I know that there's some boredom involved in that. Believe me, I know that. That just shows your character. Now, not to say anything against the people that have taken my class, because a lot of them were busy people in the Boston area. We have professionals, mostly professionals, taking my class: doctors and nurses, attorneys, engineers, architects, even. So those people are not going to be upholsterers. And housewives, they take the class because they want something to do, and they take their mind off the kids or whatever. So they're not going to be. So honestly, I think if I had to look back, maybe one or two in all, and I've taught over 1,000, maybe 1,200 people or more upholstery. So, and I even had one person who was lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, who took the class. He was one of those Top Guns, and he took the class 3 nights a week. He was like you, gung-ho, but you know something? At that time, Blair, I was the only thing he had. He didn't have the YouTube. He didn't have the online classes. He didn't have this, and he didn't have anywhere to go other than me. And he got himself to a point where he could talk to customers about upholstery, but I don't think he got to the point where you're at.
Yes, sir.
That's really interesting.
Oh, we got to keep him on.
I mean, sometimes, I really, honestly, I still have to watch your videos, and I still have to be around mentors, because, I've got customers coming in that are much older than I am, and then they see somebody as young as I am.
Yeah.
They almost don't take me serious.
Yeah. You're going to have to kind of,
I think
that's going to happen.
It's definitely reputation. It has to be. I mean, people know you've done maybe dining room chairs for someone. Well, hopefully that word of mouth will be able to at least be spread, hey, geez, I know a guy. You're looking to do an ottoman. I think this is the guy. And somebody comes to you, and they try to, you try to give them a good price. And I think it's
Right.
important that you remember that, as much as that you're starting out, that you need to make money too as well to keep things going for down the road as well. I mean, not everything is going to be 10 or 20 projects a week, but you want to try to make sure that there's always, a steady flow of income all the time with it. And I think that,
Right.
I mean, if you were to try, for example, I mean, maybe within the next year or so, or 6 months, if you have the room in your shop, do you think you have room in your shop for like 6 or 8 people to do it?
Um, honestly, I mean, not currently. I'd say maybe two.
Okay.
Because with the amount of support we've had locally just in opening, the area I have for furniture to come in has already filled up. And
Oh, wow.
We haven't had our opening day yet.
Oh my God.
That's great. That's great.
That's
great.
perfect.
So I think as far as the maturity thing, that is, I remember when I was a young man, I faced the same thing. You could be the most talented upholsterer in the world at 25 and people still have that questioning. And of course, the bad thing about that is it's tied into how much money you can get too. Sometimes they look at a younger person and say, oh, he's just starting. He'll do it for free for me, I say that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, now that's something that I have, I have had the privilege of having. It was mentors that, really had large, very successful businesses that would, at first I had to earn their trust, and I didn't have to go work for free, but I really wanted to show them like I was that committed to learning this field. So I'd go in there, and I mean, I'd help them chairs, I'd help them strip the finish off, and I'd really get in there and get dirty, and I'd just come in there and do it for free, just ask, I come help. And once they saw like that I was serious, both my upholstery and refinishing mentor, sat me down and just kind of went over numbers, and we're like, look, if you're serious about this, you need to sort of work within these guidelines, that way you can make a living.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to have people explain that, because like when I first started, I mean, I wasn't charging enough to run a business. I'll tell you that.
That's right. Now, do you have an hourly wage that you have, or do you have?
So pretty much it's we do by the job. So for like service calls for Ashley Furniture and a lot of the large retail stores we service, it's $80 an hour.
Perfect.
And then, I mean, pretty much it's it's the same thing for upholstery. It's I would say I don't do by the hour. I'm just out of repetition and doing these things so many times. I know about how long it takes, and so I just kind of give a rough estimate. And so if I'm a little over, it's okay. It is what I charge. If I got it done a little bit faster, then I just came out on top on that one. So
it evens out. It evens out. But
it all evens out.
But $80 is what I get, my friend. So you're doing pretty good.
Yes, sir.
So, but there is those. That said, and all joking aside, there is a discrepancy, a pay discrepancy in this between tradespeople, at least in this trade, and other people of other trades. Even, and we look at plumbers. Plumbers get pretty good money for what they do, and I think how much was a plumber hourly?
I don't even know. I have never called on a plumber
in the New England area. Of course, I always have to think about geography too when I'm giving people advice.
Right.
But you're doing pretty good at that. I mean, if you're paying the 6 for rent and you're still getting the 80, you're ahead of the game right now. So you're doing good. Good for you. Listen, I just want to make. We went way over what I thought we were going to, and I got to get some business done. But I wanted you to tell people about your location, and you could give your phone number and your email out, Blair. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah. So right now, we're in Enterprise, Alabama. My shop is so I don't even know the address.
That's okay.
It's off of Geneva Highway in Enterprise. It's pretty much downtown Enterprise, Alabama.
Okay.
Our business number is 850-288-8414. And that's honestly going to be the best way to reach out. As far as my email address, we do have a company email address. It's designs, as it's spelled, designs by Blair, Blaire, and this is where I screw everybody up. It's at furniture repair, but instead of it furniture and repair being spelled as two different words, the furniture and the repair share an RE. So it's designs by Blair at furniturerepair.net.
Okay, and Daphne is asking, what is the name of the shop? I think you might have mentioned, but can you mention it again?
Yeah, it's designs by Blair.
Okay, and she's also asking, does he have a Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, our Facebook is also Designs by Blair. We're in Enterprise, Alabama. You'll see our logo I'm in love with. It's pretty much it's a shield with a pair of upholstery scissors going down the middle, with a upholstery mallet on one side and a pin hammer on the other.
I love it.
So it sort of looks like a family crest, but that's our company logo.
I love it. I love it. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking time, and I know that this is a very busy time for you to come on, and we'll have you on again. Maybe we can check your progress periodically if you don't mind coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I at some point, I'd really like to fly into Boston to come meet you guys in person and do an in-person class with you.
That would be fun.
We'd have a ball.
Yeah. You'll get to meet Jimmy.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that might.
I've seen him enough times on YouTube. So it'd be good to. Well, I guess I've already put a face and voice to you, but it'd be cool to shake your hand.
Oh, that would be good. Listen, continued good luck.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good day.
You take care, Blair.
Take care, Blair. Take care. Bye bye. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah.
I'm so excited because that really, I mean, we have a lot of hobbyists out there.
Yes.
Daphne, Pam, you mentioned some more people on Facebook that we have out there, Jimmy.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of those people have risen to at least the mid-journeyman.
Well, we see the projects all the time, and I'm thinking like,
let's go there now. Patrick has sent me along some of the projects. So we'll do Facebook now that we're talking about it. If I can find it, here we go. Facebook. So Denise, we'll start with Denise, and Denise is another person, right, that has really done well. She says, never seen either of these before. The wood fibers are stitched together. Second picture has springs attached to a wire that was pierced through a thicker than usual burlap. Always something interesting. It is, isn't it, Jimmy? You never know what you're going to find inside. Well,
you're looking for that winning lottery ticket, and I don't think it exists.
Well, we do a little segment called Treasures of Upholstery that we have found, and I have to say, I recognize stories as the value, not really necessarily. I have found gold Rolex watches and gold coins, and they always get returned, Jimmy. But I think the best thing I ever found, believe it or not,
yes,
in a piece of furniture, and I've mentioned this before, is a bubblegum wrapper. And
Joe Bazooka.
Joe Bazooka, and it was an antique sofa, and it looked like it was right out of Abraham Lincoln's White House. You know,
it
was that old, and I thought, oh, we're gonna find something here, and there was absolutely nothing except that gum wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, sorry, folks, but somebody replied to that and said, you know what? That brought back this memory. It was a candy wrapper, actually, Jimmy.
Yes.
It was a candy wrapper, and it was from that candy wrap. What was the name of the candy? Yes, in Charlestown. And for him, it brought him right back to his childhood.
Well, when you went to a convenience store, even the one, for example, down the street from me, it had all the penny candy. Literally, it was the penny candy. You had 20 boxes of candy like that, all lined up and ready to go.
And you know, he went on the sentimental, you know, things that he that brought up because of that. So that's a good story. So Wesley says, question on cutting tables. I'm looking at building a new cutting table. I got a great answer for this, you guys. Cutting table to bump up against my sewing table. Okay, never mind. So when she's talking about a sewing table, it's a little bit lower than a cutting table. She's talking about he's talking about two different things here. Cutting tables and sewing tables are two different heights. And you don't need as much on a sewing table as you do on a cutting table, enough space.
Right.
So on the cutting tables, ping pong tables are the best. Why are they the best, Jimmy?
Oh, the length, definitely the length. I mean, the length.
When you go to the store and buy a piece of plywood, it's 48 inches wide, right?
Right, and then fabric is that.
Fabric falls off. Fabric's 54. It falls off the edge of the ping pong tables are wider. They're like 56, I think, to 60 inches.
Okay.
For all you ping pong people, you'll be able to correct me. You'll be able to tell
Kevin's
me.
such a sport enthusiast.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't get the invite for the football, the Super Bowl last night. But
Well, it was a great game. You should have been there.
Yeah.
So a cutting table, ping pong table is the best. Just take the net out of in the middle, right?
Yeah, I think that might be, yeah.
Actually, you can use a half a side of it. You could take it apart and use one half side. That's how big they are.
Oh
The
yeah.
surface area. So, and as far as your cutting table for your sewing machine, those little fold up tables, they work great. They're the same height, Jimmy. Those
Yeah.
little fold up tables, same height as our sewing
Well,
machine.
is that what you're trying to tell me for Father's Day? You want to pull? You
No,
wanna
it's
ping-
all right. I just let it fall on the ground over there without a table. I have a nice clean carpet. When the fabric falls. My question is: there's some of the surface you all prefer or have in the past? Both of the surfaces I mentioned, the up table and the ping pong table, perfect surfaces for your scissor blade to glide along. You definitely want a surface area that glides, Jimmy. You don't want to be stuck on a knot, on a piece of plywood or get, sawdust on a piece of fabric from plywood. Or the particle board's no good either because it tends to bend a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit. That's not
It will
particle,
lose its
not
shape.
particle board, but whiteboard like
Yes.
that over there. That's not good. Melamine was my first thought. Do you know what melamine is?
No. What is it?
I don't know. Other ideas with laminated plastic over. I think putting too much thought into this, you got Wesley. Go with what I said. Don't go. I mean, I've gone through all of this. The hardboard, HDL, MDO panels, all of that. We'll have a shelf below for storage. That's a little different. Thanks in advance for your suggestion. Picture of your tables are also welcome. I think I gave them the best. Somebody made a comment. Let's see who commented on this. Let's see if we have any comments here first. Daphne says, she says it's like Formica. Thank you, Daphne. Will it agree? Will it agrees, yeah. And Randy says, that's really you guys are brighter than the average bulb here, these guys. Randy says the ping pong tables fold, which will give you more. If you don't need the whole, you can just fold it up and use one half of the side. You got a rear loaded fabric, you can take the whole rear loaded fabric, undo the, really good.
You got to get out more often.
I got to get out more often.
You're living up here in the burbs. I mean, you're half a step away from the mountains, I think.
And Daphne, she's posted something really interesting for all you guys and girls out there who want to do commercial work. Let's see, let's catch up a little bit. Shelby says, I use a 4x8, then I use hardboard top. The only problem with the 4x8, like I said, if you have a rear-loaded fabric, your fabric's not going to fit the table. And I think that's true in almost anything. I think anything you get at a hardware store is going to be 4 feet wide, right, Jimmy?
Most, yeah.
So Daphne, let me just show you the pictures that Daphne has to these two chairs. Nice chairs. She's doing a lot of work. She's very ambitious, right, Daphne? I think I've caught up on all these. I just want to. Okay. Daphne says a question: when you are upholstering a pair of chairs, do you do one at a time or take them both through each step together? These will need a complete seat restoration at the minimum. I was thinking of doing one at a time so I could check my work, but maybe cutting the fabric pieces for both at the same time to make sure I'm getting the most out of the bolt. And I think I said 2 or 200, you want to make sure you get all of them at the same time. Because with multiples, Usually comes in the form of dining room chairs, whether they're upholstered seat or slip seats or box seats or porcelain chairs. I mean, there's so many different types of dining room chairs. They call and they say, "Hey, I have a dining room chair. How much is it going to be?" They think that you know what it looks like right off, but they could be any of them, multiple, at least a half dozen or 8. Old Lady Susie, that's the first one for me. I used to have a plywood or wood vinyl, and it worked great. That's true. Again, though, you got the 4-foot problem, unless you want to somehow add another piece. Daphne's comment is, I started stripping one. It's weird because she's talking already about her chairs. That finished comment. Hold on, let me finish the comment first from Facebook. If you guys aren't on Facebook, you got to get on Facebook. Facebook is so, if you're new to this game, our Facebook, Upholstery on Broadway, Broadway Upholstery School, right? Jimmy, our administrator is there. Jimmy, you talk about, tell us where they can find the Facebook. What is it?
Oh, well, Upholstery on Broadway.com, I
No,
believe.
that's not it, Jimmy.
Yeah, why? What do you mean?
Broadway Upholstery School on
Oh, that's
Facebook.
right. Well, I mean, you know what?
All right, he's fine.
I'm fired.
He was never hired. I'm just kidding. But Jimmy, I'm just kidding. Jimmy actually does all of the what is it called? You
The
okay
acceptance,
people.
yes.
The acceptance. And this, what are we getting? Like 8 a day now, Jimmy?
We've had somebody from Ireland this morning.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you say hello to the people, or do you?
No, I mean,
You just say
I'm doing this during work.
Do you ever deny somebody? You've never done that.
I know I haven't grilled anybody. Okay.
Have you ever kicked anybody off? I mean, because administrator guys, you want to be nice, Jim, if you're on there. Brad says, when are you doing a chair? What is correct layering of materials? Oh, Brad, that's a really good question, because basically you have
What are we doing?
pre-World War II materials and post-World War II materials. That's kind of like the basic categories, right?
Okay.
So Jimmy, can you give me, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you give me an example of pre-World War II materials that you've come across in your time?
Oh God.
Think before manufacturing. Try to think before, well, maybe that's misleading too. Try to think before the heavy chemical manufacturing. Try to think before chemicals. What type of batting would you find in an antique chair, like a Victorian chair? You wouldn't find polyurethane,
No, I
authentic
mean, you got coconut fiber, you got
coconut
horsehair,
fiber, horsehair,
paper.
paper.
Remember,
Yeah.
didn't we have a project? You had a
We
project.
found newspaper. There was what was
You
it?
were doing a project. It wasn't me. I know that for a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah,
But it was you.
that's right. And it had, I can't remember the headlines or what
Well,
date the newspaper was.
well,
It was all wrapped up like it
it
was.
was
intro.
wired up. is
Do you
what
hear
it
that, you
was.
guys? You can use newspaper for edge roll. So a lot of times you find that in wartime pieces that were
Yes.
done during World War II, especially.
And that might have been the standard then.
Well, there wasn't any of the other materials available. They were
No.
using, look at silk. Silk went all to the parachutes, right? You couldn't find silk if it was anywhere. And cotton. So cotton's another one. So we got up to 4. You can include burlap in there because he's asking a very general question.
Yes.
I probably am forgetting some. I mean, I found a nightgown in one piece that I did, but we won't talk
Top or
about
bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a G-rated show.
Top and bottom. And Randy says depends on the chair. Daphne says the other weird thing is that the upholsterer used tacks on almost everything, 1/2 inch apart, 6-ounce tacks, but they stapled around the legs. Was wondering why they did it that way. Well, there was a time in the 80s. I didn't start using a staple gun, Jimmy, until I could tell you 1989. And I'll never forget the day that it came into the shop, the staple gun. It was like life changing.
Did everybody stand around and go, ooh,
Oh, it was like the sun, the beams came down. It was almost like a miracle.
The angels started to sing.
Oh, it's
right?
like, yeah, they were singing, and the little cherubs were next to the horses,
and people were throwing flowers.
and flowers were coming out of the sky. And,
Yeah.
and I took the tacks out of my mouth.
You gotta
the
stop
rusty-
smoking that stuff. I told you.
The rusty tacks and the drool, it was gone. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden we had an air gun.
Honey, I'm alive.
No, really, I wasn't exactly like that. But it did change my career. It made me last longer. I would have never have lasted if I was spitting tacks.
Well, that is in itself a labor-intensive situation.
So Daphne's question is, why did the upholsterer do it? I bet it was during that transitional stage in that shop where you probably still had the upholsterer, a couple of upholsterers. A couple of guys said, well, they never used the gun. They couldn't even put the air attachments on. But that, you've done that, Jimmy. It's you have to be a little.
Well, you gotta have enough confidence to know it's
Yeah,
snap
it's
it
90 pounds of pressure, and you gotta really have to kind of know the technique. You have to pull the
Yep.
sleeve down, but they were showing new technology, Jimmy. I didn't
And
blame
now
them.
you're what's in the future? You wish you could say, well, we've decided on we're gonna do this, this, and this. I still think the tack gun would be a great thing. I know it's a Three Stooges era, but we still could perfect that. We need a research and development.
What do you mean? We
Oh,
already
you remember
have
the gun?
the BEA gun. That's the best gun ever. Daphne just bought one. from
No,
us.
I mean the gun that they used to do. Remember in the
Oh,
3D?
that's just a show. That's that they did. That's they don't do that. Now the closest thing they have to that is a gun that shoots the French nails. They have a gun that does that.
Really?
And I wouldn't advise it. I don't sell it, you guys. And if you've gone on to Upholstery on Broadway, the store, all of those supplies and the tools are handpicked. They're the right tools for the job. You're not going to waste any time on other sites that want to try to sell you like the tack hammer that has the split end and the tack falls off the end. Ridiculous things like that. That gun that shoots the French nails, you have to do French nails one at a time. Somebody commented, we'll get to it on the YouTube, one at a time with a tack hammer, but not the magnetic end of the tack hammer. And that's how you do it. With the gun is too perfect. So the gun is shooting this way, right? But everybody's looking at the work this way, so you guys can see, right? The angle. They're always looking at the work. Your customers, you, your wife, your husband, they're always looking at, like, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. They're always looking at the angle like this. Probably about a 10, 12, 15 degree angle.
Right.
So when you're using this gun, you're shooting, and I guarantee you, I've never used one, but I guarantee you that you're taking your hammer out after you do that, and you're adjusting because it doesn't look right to the eye. It might be
You think it
straight.
doesn't look right.
It's interesting. Anytime you guys doing a nail panel, you do a nail panel by hand, just to prove me wrong, right? Just to prove my point. Go underneath like the cat, pretend you're the cat or the small dog, and you're looking up this way, and you'd see it's like a tapestry. When you turn a tapestry over with the loose ends,
Right.
you wouldn't believe how amateuristic a job looks, even by a professional. When you just get a point, the perspective changes a little bit. Your point of view,
Are you okay? I'm a
No,
little excited.
I'm just, Blair's really picked me up about 10
I
hours.
think, hey, we could go see Blair. I think we should take the show on the road. Just don't come back.
Okay, so our people online, I really have an active conversation, which I really like. Let me just finish. I don't think I finished this.
I
Sorry, you
disapprove
guys.
somebody now.
You disapprove somebody?
I approved someone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Jimmy is working right now as we're on live TV. He's approving people on the Broadway Upholstery School forum. So don't forget, you guys, if you're a fan of the YouTube channel, if you've bought an online class, I highly recommend that. They're not that expensive. And I think that if you listen to Blair's interview, Blair would tell you that his progression was the YouTube. He question and answer class. I think he bought the online class, Jimmy's online class after that.
Which one was that? Was that the?
He wasn't sure, but it's one of your first ones where we were talking about basic tools, Jimmy. So,
okay.
So let me finish Daphne's. I'm way behind you guys, and I hope you bear with me. But I think we've had some it's been an exciting class, question and answer, and I'm really excited because of Blair. Just if you guys see the comments are giving you a whole another dimension to what we do here with people talking to each other, and that's what you get, Jimmy. That's what you get in Facebook.
Yes.
Just almost exactly the same as you see in the comments here. So I was thinking of doing one at a time so I could check my work, but maybe getting back to Daphne. but maybe cutting the fabric pieces for both at the same time to make sure I'm getting the most out of the both. I always do them all at the same time, have them in the shop physically at the same time, so that it's just the quality. You just can check the quality to make sure that they're all the same, especially that's the old chair, but it has a plaid. If it has any type of pattern or anything, you really do want them all at the same time. Cut them out, strip them down to upholstery ready or whatever you have to do at the same time, build them up at the same time, and then cut them at the same time and upholster them. Some people just upholster the seats like an assembly line. They just do the seats first, the inside back. Some people upholster the whole thing, but they're always there, at least for me. Okay, so let's get to the YouTube. Love when people modify what I tell them. When I teach a certain thing and they modify it, and this is an example of that. On the fixing a pop button for free. So we get a lot on this. We offered 2 ways of doing it. One with the professional German needle, it's called, and the tools and the clasps and the instruction. And then the other one is with tools that you could find at home or. But this is from WMCOT. And he or she says, I used a modification in your technique on inexpensive chair that my daughter really loves. The button was dangling loose, so I cut the thread, holding it only to find out that the backing was too thin to hold the washer, kind of like cotton ball thickness. So I found a piece of dowel. Listen to this, Jim. This is so clever. I found a piece of dowel about 3 inches long and drilled a hole in the middle.
Oh my God.
I threaded the nylon twine through the hole and pushed the dowel into the hole, past the backing, so it would turn sideways. Then I just followed your slip knot process and it worked fine. Thanks for your inspiration. Isn't that something? Now, a dowel has to be small enough to fit through the hole.
Well, yeah, what size was the dowel?
Must have been small because you don't want
Enough
to.
to be able to drill a hole. The drill bit had to be small. So
That's clever, though.
wicked
Isn't it?
small.
Isn't that clever?
That's thinking. That's a thinker.
That's an engineer, I bet. That's an
Well, I
engineer.
don't know. I mean, there are some people that can look at something and go, "I know what to do."
It's true. The old Yankee ingenuity.
Yes.
That's what separates us from everybody else.
Yeah.
No, there's
you
certain.
especially. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, Americans. Americans really are good at this. Really, they're good at thinking things out like this. And
Right. You
coming
can
up
say,
with
"Wait a
clever
minute. I
things.
have a way. It may take an extra step or two, but we're going to get it done." That's the
Right.
bottom line. You know that.
And on the Upholstery Show Live, we get comments on the Upholstery Show Live, which I like. Jimmy is really weighing you down. You might want to consider booting him up. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I love my own
Weighing him
jokes.
down. Oh, I love
I'm
those
just
words.
kidding.
Jimmy takes up. Basically, you're saying Jimmy's just dead air. You're the Johnny Carson and I'm the Ed McMahon.
No, I don't believe that for a minute. We've heard from people. They tell us all the time. Where's Jimmy? You miss a week and they're all looking for you. Now, Janine is your best fan. She watches this later because she's in another country, right?
Where is she again?
I think she's in Australia.
Oh,
I should know this by now, but
you should.
I know.
Anyway, I would love, some of the people I would really like to say, tell me what you're doing, because I mean, actually, what I was going to ask you, when are we going to start doing the projects again?
I know. We have to get going maybe in the summertime, Jimmy. I don't know. But we're so far behind a lot of stuff. So that was good. Let's get to the next one. Randy says about the club chair. Patrick is posting the club chair A to Z. I have a disclaimer to announce on that. One of the programs, I think one of the steps has been, I hope Patrick doesn't mind I say this, has not been lost. He knows where it is, but he can't get at it. And he might not be able to get at it for a little while. So he's going to be posting the other parts. So you guys might have to fill in the blanks. But anyhow, he's talking about part 5. Great video. I see that you're using a zipper foot on your machine rather than a 1/4-inch cording foot. Is this just a personal preference? Yeah, I used to use the welt foot, but then somebody showed me the foot that I'm using, the zipper foot. I like it. I think it gets close on the corners. That's why I like using it. The welt foot to me doesn't really get close on the corners. I like this because it gets a little closer. That's all. It's a personal preference. Nice tip with the welt on the leg. If you were not using a bottom welt, it gives you something to sew if you need it. Another question is, why didn't you sew the seam between the front and the deck to the chair? That I don't remember that part. I have to look at that again. But anyhow, Ian says, thanks for sharing your skills with us. Janine, speaking of Janine, Jimmy. Great to see this next step. Thanks for all the tips. This is also about the A to Z, the club chair.
Yes.
Looking forward to the next step. And then one of the oldest ones we ever did was the 8-way tie instructional. I was thinking about this today. Our videos are timeless, really. I don't think there's going to be much change in the upholstery industry, Jimmy.
No, we just, again, I would like to get things started with projects with regard to wingback chairs. And again, I know we have talked about when to do some of the things, but I think, again, with the Facebook and the forum itself, a little bit of influx from the people who want what they want to see if they're going to be buying lessons. I think that's very important to, show me how to do this, especially if it's a wingback chair, which I already have one ready to go.
Right. It's ready to fly, as they say.
Yes, it's ready to fly. Actually, I have two.
Wow. You're pretty, you have a whole flock of wing chairs. Is that true?
I have, well, not. Your wife must love me.
Oh my goodness! No, you bring out the worst in me when it comes to the jokes.
Well, God forbid that we ever get recorded when we do our delivery. We'd really they'd shut us down in a second.
Daphne says, Jimmy, you could create a poll on the Facebook page if you're interested.
Yes.
A poll about should we keep Jimmy or not, Daphne? Is that the poll? What would be the poll? What would she?
What projects would be?
Oh yeah.
Has it been that long?
All right, I am so well behind, you guys. We're already. I think it's okay. We've gone over an hour before. This is a really good comment from I think somebody in France. Hold on, let's read it. She says the name of her handle, if you want to call it that. I'm dating myself. A handle, Jim. You know what a handle is, right? Hello, good buddy. 10-4. Where's your 1020?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
I had so many friends into the CB radio thing. It was so bad. Okay, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but a song came out about the CB.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that inspired you not to become one of those.
No, they actually, what happened was they inspired a movie.
Oh yeah, I remember the movie.
And the movie bombed.
Oh yeah, well, that's too bad.
Yeah, no, not really.
But her handle is you and me equals 3. You and me equals 3. 3 weeks ago, I decided to reupholster my French-style dining room chairs here in Vienna. Vienna, Jimmy. That's a new one. Vienna.
We're going worldwide.
I know.
I hope they can put us up for a couple of days.
They charge between 200 and 250 euros per chair, and I find it too expensive. Thanks to your videos, I decided to try it myself, and I'm happy to say I am at the stage of applying the trim to all 5 chairs. All 5 chairs.
Oh, we got to see.
She's saving
Did you
over.
send the pictures to us?
No, no. But she's saving. Oh, look at you guys, 200 euros. What's that in America? That's more. That's like, I think it's like 16, 18. Hey, Daphne, yes, Ma, what is it? Oh, and Daphne just says she's got a funny face with tears coming out. I don't know if that means she's laughing.
And me? For us? For what?
Jimmy says, I said, is that Daphne? I said, does that mean you're laughing? And he says, that me? I'm sure Daphne's a nice person.
I'm sure
she's not laughing at you. She's laughing with you. Although what she wrote is, I don't know what this is. Daphne, you got to remember that I don't know any of the lingo here. She's rolling. She's rolling on the floor laughing. And Jimmy. But what is ROFL? Oh, is that what it is? Rolling on the floor laughing?
Yes, it must be.
Yes, okay. I don't know the exact conversion
Acronym,
rate.
yeah.
She's thinking that I might be right about the conversion rate about the euros, but this from Vienna, she's saving herself a lot of money. Let me finish reading. Jimmy, you are so funny. Thanks for your videos. I decided to do it myself. God bless you for taking time to record these helpful videos. I truly appreciate it. The best regards to you and your family. You know, when we first started these, when Patrick, it was his idea, Jimmy, to do the YouTube videos. He was young. He was, um, 16, I think, when we first started. And he was always interested in film. And when we first started, Daphne thinks it's 1.3 times the dollar, which would be about right, about $1,700.
Oh my God! Wow.
On her doing her chairs herself.
Oh,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The Vienna upholsterers are gonna be mad at me, Jimmy.
Well, it's about time somebody was. I mean, the things you've been saying on air, I just can't.
Oh no, I don't say anything too bad. I hope. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought, Jimmy. Conversion rate. All right. So let's go to the next YouTube comment. Sorry, they call this dead air. 6,000 more to go. K and J says 6,000 more to go. Oh, so I was talking about how Patrick, when he first approached me on, I just did it. Okay, for kicks, we'll do it. And we were a little goofy in the beginning, but then you start getting things like this that people are commenting about. Saving this girl money. She might not be able to afford it, and it's going to enhance her life. She feels proud of herself for doing it. All good stuff. All good stuff. And I started thinking maybe we should get a little bit more serious with these videos, and that's why. And look what we have today. We have over 400 some videos and hours of online classes.
And we're going to expand a little bit.
And
This year,
yeah.
I think we're going to have a good another 4, maybe.
Yeah.
5 projects.
So what that means is that if you subscribe, your subscription on the online class is the best deal, I think.
Right.
I think it's the best deal around. And certainly you can buy one at a time. Some people test the waters. They'll buy one of your classes, see you, and never come back again. But no, I'm just kidding.
How many projects? I've done a few, right? At least 4.
Jimmy, you've done a few, but how many hours does that equal? You've not done 4 classes, but you're probably about 50 or 60 or more hours.
Yeah, a good 60 hours. I think.
K and J says, I never thought tax could be so hard. I'm sure I'm not GNA. What's GNA? Not DNA, GNA.
I don't know.
Good enough. I don't know. Daphne, help out. Yeah. Patrick's not here. You all are like family. Look forward to the shows every week. Deborah says, thank you, Deborah. I think it's, I'm just catching up on some of the comments. Jimmy gets a lot of interest from people. That's correct. €1 equals 1.13 US dollars. All right, so Jimmy, let's go to next YouTube. Sorry, guys, I am way behind. I know. So this comment about tax, I think this is a comment about decorative tax that we were just talking about.
And I've done a couple of projects with that.
So once in a while, we get a professional upholsterer for some reason looks at our videos and makes sarcastic remarks about how.
I don't know why they
I don't either, but they'll say something like, on that tag video, what you have to remember is that we're really appealing to most of the times to people who are just beginning, or like Blair said, he had a good point. He's talking about the basics, right? The basics. We show the basics because that's what makes you good. You have to start somewhere.
Well, you have to. Well,
right?
well, I mean, think of the different approaches towards the different chairs that we have. Especially coming back, from the wing back to a simple, what kind of chair is this, Kevin? That you would call this chair behind us?
Which one?
This one.
This is a modern. This is not an old piece. This is a manufactured piece. It's made to look.
Okay.
It's just a tufted back side chair. I call it a upholstered seat side chair. The legs have a certain name to them. They're turned. I would call them a turned leg but if you notice on this one here, it's a high-end new furniture, you guys. Look at the legs, the brass casters.
Yes.
Those two casters are what makes the whole chair special, I think. I mean, everything else is a little ordinary that's going on there, but the
Well, you
legs,
don't see the style that much.
No.
But what my point is that when you have the different methods of approach to different what you want accomplished, but also how many different ways are there to get to the end result.
yeah. And you're not on, Jimmy. I'm
That's
sorry.
all right.
You're the disembodied
I'm
voice.
still heard from, ladies and gentlemen.
So we're going to catch up on some of the questions, and we have a very lively comment section today. And I'd advise anybody that's on the comment, I know a lot of you are on the Facebook, to go on to Facebook. When this ends, you'll be able to get a lot of. Well, I see some new names on here. I see Gene. Patrick might be familiar with it. I don't usually do the comments. But Gene says, I just dropped an image from my question about above into the Upholstery on Broadway Instagram. Do you have access to the Instagram, Jimmy? Or is that Patrick's
I don't
deal?
know. Patrick does. I don't.
Real leather and upholstery fabric. Any advice is super appreciated, even for anyone in the comments. Well, I could comment, Gene. I'm telling you, I just had somebody come in and wanted me to do a vinyl. I've stopped doing vinyl, faux leathers, and real leathers. I've had too many bad experience with really good, supposedly they were good companies offering. I just don't know what they're doing in this industry. So I'm not doing it anymore. I've stopped. It's one of those decisions you have to make. So I know my fabrics, I know my fibers, I know that they're good. You can tell just by feeling that. And there's many more specifications when you're dealing with a reputable fabric company than you get with, I've noticed this, than a leather company or faux leathers. I just don't have any good luck with it. Buffy, she says, is there a simple way to estimate amount of fabric for a wing chair? So Buffy, I do have a YouTube video on that. And I think that the best way for somebody just breaking into the business is when they're looking at a piece of furniture, perhaps that they want to break it down, look at each section. And I think it's easier to deal in yards. And when you're dealing with a yard of fabric, you got to remember, right? 36 by 54, right, Jimmy?
Right.
It's not 36 by 36. Not a
But,
square yard.
but generally, a wingback is what, between 8 and 9.
Well, let's break it down for Buffy. Buffy. So when you look at a wing chair, let's look at this chair. So when you look at this chair, you say 1 yard right off the bat for the seat.
Okay.
And then you go 1.5 maybe for the back, because that's a tufted and you need more fabric for the back. So you're up to 3.
Okay.
And then inside arm maybe 3/4 of a yard.
Okay.
So you're almost at, let's say, 4.
Okay.
The outside back is another yard, 5,
Okay.
right? And usually the outside back, if you really want to slim it down, you can get the outside arms out of a width. But if you're not sure, add another 3/4 of a yard. So you can say, well, 5, half a yard. 5.5 is still a close call on that chair. So if you want to say 6, sometimes I'll do that. I'll just round it off. I don't like dealing in half yards, because a lot of times when you call the fabric company, they don't deal in half yards. They only want square, 1 yard. I don't want to say square yards because it's not a square yard. And then Daphne's answer, it would depend on whether the fabric is patterned too. Exactly. Did you hear what Daphne just said?
What'd you say?
She said it also depends how much you need, and that gets a little complicated when you start adding patterns. Let's say
like the blue chair I did.
That's
Remember?
right. You happen to bring in that was not an upholstery weight fabric, I don't think, was it?
No.
So with my shop, I am only dealing with upholstery weight fabrics. Blair, hope you're listening. So upholstery weight fabric, upholstered fabrics that are milled, they're not milled. It's impossible on a fine fabric to get a huge print. I want to say print pattern. Okay, so the big patterns come in slipcover or drapery fabrics.
Okay.
So you could be dealing in the 90s, the decorators. I was working in a shop and we just did work for decorators. Everything was coming off the walls, the drapes, and putting on furniture. Let me tell you.
Oh my God.
This was a challenging time in the upholstery industry, Jimmy. We were challenged. It was like if we had a war, it would be called the Pattern War of 1992. How about that, huh? Over the hill, we saw them coming, decorators with 36-inch yard floral patterns, and they were coming at us fast, Jimmy. And
Why are they?
Doris.
Well, I guess it's kind of like a resurrection, a reborn. Oh, we're gonna use this. We're gonna use these colors. We're not sticking with the old Victorian. We're not.
Right. So you can't get tripped up too much if you're dealing on upholstery fabrics only, even if you're looking at, because you're looking at 15, 16-inch repeats.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, once you get good at cutting in the beginning, if you're just in the beginning, you might want to add down a yard for that chair, for instance. But really, a 15-inch repeat you can deal with the basic yardage prices that I give out.
Okay.
And really, that's important, especially if you're in business, Blair, and you have to be competitive, and there are, no matter what, there's somebody out there that could be better at giving estimates on how many yards you need. If you're not sure yourself and you're getting 25-30% more than you should, you just priced yourself right out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
So it really is competitive that way, not only in price, right? It's also competitive in how many yards, because that's tied into the bottom line, right? So you have to be careful. Let's catch up on the comments. So Daphne's got some great feedback, and Randy, of course, as usual. And any you guys, again, great comment section today. We really appreciate it. And Jimmy, do you have any final words of wisdom? Now, be careful, because you slipped last week.
Oh,
We
yes.
don't have this is live, remember? So we want to know any tidbits of information for all the newbies out there.
Well, like I said a little while ago, since we're having the season is coming up again for us to be doing projects, I would like some ideas on what our family would like to see for this up and coming year. Again, we've mentioned about a couple of wingback chairs, but that is one of the ideas, but also just to get some other ideas about what you might want to see and what we can do to help you.
Would you promise Daphne a poll maybe on the Facebook? That's a good, and she also says this is a family show, Jimmy. So you got to watch yourself.
Is that what she said? I want to have a word with you.
And then Buffy says, it's for me. I've been watching a while because I'm afraid to tear into it. Y'all have been a great resource. Well, thank you. I think a poll is a good idea, Daphne says. So
I definitely think so.
So you'll be in charge of that, right?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Patrick. So I'll have to interrupt him when he's probably up in the mountains there. And
yeah. Talk to Patrick. Give him a text and say I want to do this.
I don't have his number yet. So.
Oh, I'll give you. You don't?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, so
I haven't got my first paycheck yet either.
That's coming. It's in the mail.
Yeah.
So I have to say this. So the poll will be extreme upholstering. Do we send Jimmy into the shark-infested waters with his wing chair, or does he come into the studio? Is that one poll?
Oh yeah, you'd love to see that. I mean, that'd be something like on one of those variety shows years ago. They can probably do.
Okay, Jimmy, I think you need to say goodbye now. If you could close this out, maybe.
Yes. Well, Kevin and I would like to thank everyone for showing up this week. Again, we always have a good time with the hour-and-a-half show. I guess we're going to be expanding every other week. But we're glad for all the comments and for everyone being online for us. And hopefully we will see you next week. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody.